third important part of GMP is about the premises and equipment. Both should be located, designed, constructed, and maintained to suit the intended operations. Their design and layout must aim to minimize the error risk and allow effective cleaning and maintenance in order to avoid cross-contamination and dirt build-up, which may adversely affect the product quality. Specifically, the premises should be of suitable size, design, and construction and placed in a suitable location to facilitate proper operation, cleaning, and maintenance. The maintenance and the repair operation should not present any hazard to the quality of the product. It should be clean and disinfected according to the detailed written procedures. Other than that, steps shall be taken in order to prevent entry of unauthorized people in the premises. And the production, storage, and quality control area should not be used as a right-of-way by personnel who do not work in them. Premise also need to have a proper and adequate lighting and have a proper temperature and also humidity and ventilation, which must not adversely affect the products during their manufacture and storage. Example of the lighting that usually used in GMP premises is LED lighting and fluorescent lighting, and it is recommended to use plastic coated shatterproof bulb as it provides protection against contamination to the product in case of the bulb glass breakage. And this is the example of the ventilation system and its equipment that typically used in GMP premises to provide comfortable to the personnel during the operation and for the proper storage of materials and products during storage. The premise, as I mentioned before, should be in suitable location and have a proper environment for manufacturing process, and it possessed minimal risk of contamination. The location should be approved by the local authority, which is NPRA, and the examples of the approved location is it should be away from the dusty roads, garbage dumps, pollution sources with convenient road access for easy transportation of material and products. The health supplements production can be shared with the traditional medicine production, but care must be taken to avoid cross-contamination. What you can do to avoid that is by performing cleaning verification, use of separate equipment, line clearance, and etc. However, if the production involves the use of materials such as sensitizing substances or biological preparation, it must be separated. Then, pest control program must be conducted with adequate frequency to protect against harboring of vermin, rodents, birds, and other animals in the premises. GMP also addressed on the flow of the personnel and materials and also the products. It must be appropriate and both flows should not be overlapped. As can be viewed in the image, there is a straight line flow, L flow, and U flow that can be implemented according to the applicability of the premises. This is the last requirements for the premises in which there should be a defined area available for receiving and quarantine of incoming materials, sampling, storage of starting and packaging materials, weighing, processing, packaging, storage of bulk, intermediate products, a quarantine of finished product, and approved finished product, equipment washing area, and quality control area. All of the area that I mentioned just now must have its defined area and should not be mixed. Now we proceed with the specific requirements for equipment. Number one is equipment is designed, placed, and maintained to suit its intended use. Number two, equipment is tested and installed in a way to prevent contamination or minimize the risk of error. Number three is equipment located at a sufficient distance from each other, and then the pipeline constructed using suitable material. For example, it's usually used the stainless steel material because it is stable for hot sanitization and disinfection, And the pipeline also must be clearly labeled. The label is about the content and the flow direction of the content. Next, number 5, the balancing equipment is available in appropriate range and precision, and it must be serviced and calibrated at a defined interval by appropriate method by following to the calibration SOP, and records must be maintained. Number 6, manufacturing equipment is designed for easy and thorough cleaning according to the written SOP, and it should be recorded. They must be stored in a clean and dry condition. Number 7, the equipment to manufacture internal use product cannot be used to manufacture external use product. For example, this type of equipment is used to manufacture a liquid gel for the topical use, and it cannot be used to manufacture a syrup for the consumption by mouth. Okay. Number 8, repair and services of equipment must not compromise the product quality. And at number 9, the defective equipment must be removed, or if it cannot be removed or it has taken a significant period of time to remove, it should be labeled. Okay. And then number 10, the pipes, hoses, pumps, and valves used in the production process must be cleaned and sanitized according to the written SOP. Done with the premises and equipment part, now we continue with the documentation part of GMP requirements. GDP, or we call as good documentation practices, should be implemented, and all documents should be clearly written to avoid error from verbal instruction and enable easy tracing of history. As you can see in slide, there are general guidelines in good documentation practice. Basically, the documentation system must be able for record complete batch history to permit adequate investigation and tracing of any defective products. The documents also must contain complete and required information and must be retained at least 1 year after the product expiry for documents related to the product manufacturing. All documents must be approved and signed and does not have ambiguous content. No handwritten documents allowed except for the entry of data. And if there is an alteration of the written entry of data, it must be countersigned. And lastly, it is such a waste if we have complete documentation but lacking in executing or following the document. So manufacturer must practice what is documented. Now we go to the document of quality control. The basic documents that should be available, that is outlined by the GMP guideline, are specifications. Specifications are documents that contain a detailed description of the starting materials, of the intermediate products, of bulk products, and of finished products. All inspection and testing of the materials or products will refer to the specifications to safeguard the quality of the materials and products. Other than specifications, sampling and testing procedure are also important documents for quality control. Personnel in charge of the sampling and testing should refer to these documents. From the testings, quality control also need to provide analytical reports, and if necessary, they should also issue out certificate of analysis. Other than sampling and testing of the materials and product manufacture, quality control also responsible to conduct environmental monitoring. Thus, they should keep the monitoring record. Next is on the production documents. Basically, there are four main documents for production, which are manufacturing formula and process instruction, packaging instruction, and batch manufacturing records (BMR) consisted of batch processing records and batch packaging records. Typically, manufacturing formula and processing instruction is a combined document it, and is considered as one document, as both of them are involved in the processing and manufacturing of health supplement products. Manufacturing formula possesses four basic information, which are name of product with product code, description of product dosage form, strength, and batch sizes, list of the all starting materials with their composition, and a statement of expected final yield with acceptable limits. Then a processing instruction comprised of details of processing location, equipment methods used for equipment setup, step-by-step manufacturing instruction, in-process quality control instruction, and acceptance limit, and also have the special precaution to be observed during the processing. The second production document is packaging instruction. Unlike the previous document we discussed before, packaging does not have packaging formula, as typically the packaging materials needed and its instruction are not as many and as complicated as the production process and instruction. The packaging instruction possessed three parts of information. The first one is the information on the product, which are its name, dosage form, strength, and its pack size, which expressed in terms of number, weight, or volume. The second part is about the materials of packaging used with the quantity. And then the last part, the third part of the document is the details of packaging operation, which are precaution and line clearance instruction before the operation started, step-by-step instruction of packaging instruction with the equipment used, and then the IPQC practices after the operation. Now we go to the third production documents, which are batch processing records. In practice, this document usually termed as batch manufacturing record, or BMR. BMR is actually the umbrella term that refers to both batch processing records and batch packaging records. But in practice, the industry usually refer batch processing records as BMR and batch packaging record as BPR to distinguish both documents. So let's get back to our discussion. The batch processing records is a version of latest approved manufacturing formula and processing instruction that we discussed earlier, with the addition of information that is specific to the batch number of the product that involved in the process. This is the required information that have to be in the batch processing records. The info are just the same as the manufacturing formula and processing instruction documents, with the addition of batch and operator specific details, which are batch number, date and time of the batch processing, the name, the date, and signature of the operator after every processing, including in-process quality control and any planned and unplanned deviation. And now we continue with the last part of the production document, which is batch packaging record. It is also a part of the batch manufacturing records, and it is based on the details in the packaging instruction with the addition of the batch specific details that will be discussed in the next slide. The details needed to be in the batch packaging records are name of the product, date and time of the packaging operation, personnel involved and their signature and date at every significant step of our operation, details of the operation procedures, instruction for the IPQC, instruction for the label retainment, and the records of problems if occur with the date and signature. And lastly, the reconciliation must be there, which involve the records of the quantities of label issued, used, condemned, or returned to the warehouse, and the quantity used for the finished product.